holding in the portion of Vayeshev. We're holding the today's Thursday, the fifth reading on chapter 39, verse number 1. Vayeshev Hurad Lutzayim. Vayeshev came down to Egypt. And he was bought by the Potiphar, the courtier of Pharaoh. Sarat Tabachim, he was the butcher. Ish Mitzri, he was an Egyptian person. Miyad Ishmaelim, he bought him from the Ishmaelim, from the Arabs. Asher Haidid Mitzrayim, which brought him down to Mitzrayim. Ashi said the Torah now returns to the original subject, that which would naturally continue uninterrupted, except that interrupted it in order to connect the motion of Yehuda with the sale of Yosef, to indicate that an account of Yehuda's role in Yosef's sale, the brothers demoted him, as Rashi said before. Another reason is, in order to place the story of Potiphar's wife next to Tamar, the Torah wants to put these two stories together about these two women that had a desire to get married into this family. So Rashi says, because both of these women, Tamar acted for the sake of heaven, so did Potiphar's wife. Potiphar's wife, even though she was a wife of an Egyptian minister, but she knew for some reason that she saw in her astrology that her ancestors would be children from this family. So the only thing she made a mistake, she thought it was going to be from her, and it was not. It was from her daughter. But the Hashem says of God was with Yosef. Who was a successful man. He lived in the house of the Egyptian master. Even his master saw, Potiphar saw that the Eibishter was with him. And everything that God granted Yosef success in everything he did. Hashem, where do you see that God is with him? Something we all should learn. And that is Kishem Shamayim Shagu B'fiv. The name of God was always in his mouth. Whenever they asked him, how are you? He said, Baruch Hashem. When he asked him, where are you going? He said, where are you coming? Be'ezat Hashem. He always mentioned God in his statement. And Yosef found pleasing in his eyes. And and he served him. He put him on his house. And everything that he owned, he put it into his hands. Now she says, all he owned is an abbreviated phrase, asher, that. Omitted asher, that. And then as soon as he put it, when he put everything in the charge of Yosef, and God blessed his house. His house became more successful than it was before. Eibishter blessed the house of Potiphar. Because of Yosef. And it was a blessing of God in everything he had. Whether it's in the home or in the field. Verse number 6, and he left everything that he had in the hands of Yosef. And he didn't even look at it. It was not micromanaging him. Besides the food that he ate. And Yosef was beautiful. And he's a handsome young man. Now she says, he paid no attention to anything. He fully trusted him. Besides the bread, this refers to his wife. The Torah uses this expression that we say not the bread. We say that that my wife is a staple of my house. She's everything in the house. So it's an expression. So it means he said you can have everything, but my wife is not yours. Once he saw himself in control of the house, he began to eat and drink and then groom himself. The Holy One, blessed be he, said, your father is mourning. and you are grooming your hair. What's going on over here? Have you forgot what's going on in this world? Have you forgot that your father's mourning that you're not there? So I'm now going to incite upon you the bear. And that's what happens. Next story, Potiphara's wife decides that she needs the relationship now. And that completes the Chumash for today. We continue the introduction of the Alter Rebbe on Tanya. And this is one of those beautiful answers Alter Rebbe gives in Tanya. And that's from this, I always say that when you sit with Alter Rebbe, when you learn Tanya, you have to imagine that you're sitting with the Alter Rebbe and he's having a personal conversation with you. And that's it. Alter Rebbe says, really, I don't want to write this book because writing a book it's not a reading, inspiring yourself in a book has its issues. The best thing would be if you would come here and I would talk to you personally. But that's also impossible because that would be very difficult. The Alter Rebbe said, I speak, however, of all of those who know me well. This is each and every one of us, of Anash, of our country and those countries nearby. Affectionate words were often exchanged in private audience. And it's revealed to me all the hidden recesses of your heart. Hashem, in the service of God, Atluyis Belev, which is dependent on the heart. Aleim, so those who love me, and I love them, those who care about me and I care about them, which the Alter Rebbe says later, that's self-understood that when there's a love between the teacher and the student, when there's an ava in general between two people, people are more receptive to receive when there's ava between them. So I love you, you love me, and therefore we can speak to each other. We don't have to be there to one another. Therefore my words, Aleim Titav Malasi, to them shall my words seep through. L'shayni eit sefer, and my tongue shall take the form of a scribe pen. V'kontroisim elo, in these pamphlets, and the kroyim, which is called the Likutei Amarim, compilation of teachings, which is mulukatim v'sefer. They are compiled from books, ubi sefer, from teachers. Svarim and seifrim. Svarim is books, seifrim is teachers. Kadesh Elyon, who were saintly people. Ishmas and Adam, who their souls are in Gan Eden. Amafursamim Etzleinu, who we all know, the Baal Shem Tov and the Magid. So the book of teachers alludes to the explained above, to the Maral Miprag, in Kabbalah, Arizal, Zohar, etc. And the Baal Shem Tov and the Magid Mitzvah. Tzasmen Mizvana, no, Tzasmen and Mazin, the Chachman Be'ageres HaKodesh. Some of these teaching, the wise, or whom hinted in is sufficient to find alluded in the sacred letters of our teachers of the whole land. Mentioned old Alter Rebbe considered certain senior disciples of the Magid and Mezitch as is mentioned, as his mentors, especially Mendel, Menachem Mendel Vitebsk, Mendel Haradoka, who then resided in Eretz Yisrael. And I've heard many of their teachings from their saintly mouths. The Yosim Payimoni, when they were here with us in Russia. Now they are in the Holy Land in Eretz Yisrael. But there was a time they were with me, they were with us in Russia. And all of them are answers on the many questions. All of them answer many questions posed continually by the Anash, in our country seeking advice. Called each person according to his level in the service of God. So I'm talking to you, talking personally to those people. Lashis Eitzam, Menachem, I'm going to give you advice in the service of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. I'm going to give, that's my job, to give you advice in the service of God and guidance. Lias ke'enas man grama oid lahashav l'chalecha ve'echad. Because the time doesn't permit me to reply to everyone individually in his personal, practical questions. Also, forgetfulness today is very common. That's also another problem with teaching something verbally, because people forget. People don't remember. The best in that way, when you write something down, it stays forever. Okay, therefore I have recorded all replies for all questions. Only the Alter Rebbe can say such a statement. I've given this I brought this together. It's going to answer every question you have in the service of God. It's going to be preserved. It should be a reminder. The zikaron as a remembrance between his eyes. You won't have to come anymore to be pressed to come to talk to me in a private audience, because I'll be with you in a private audience. You'll open the book, and I'll be with you when you open the book. In this book, in this book, you'll find tranquility for your soul. You'll find true counsel. You're going to find a true counsel to every issue that you're struggling with. Self-understood. Avodas Hashem. The service of God. The Rebbe is not a lawyer. He's not telling you economic solutions. He's telling you in your service of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, in your struggles that you have in the service of God. Thus his heart will be firmly secure in God, who completes and perfects everything for us. So therefore, we'll have a munah. I'm going to teach you a munah. I'm going to teach you not only faith, I'm going to teach you how to have faith. And therefore, you're going to be able to, the Eibishter, whatever you do, that's why you say, just said in the Parsha, Yosef HaTzadik knew that everything he does, the Eibishter is going to be successful. He'll do it, and God finishes it. That's what the Alter Rebbe says over here. I'm going to teach you a munah, how what you do, the Eibishter will finish. And to those that don't have a very broad-minded people, because you see, that the Alter Rebbe says always in Tanya, Dailam Even, this is enough to those who have understanding, and not everybody has the capacity of mind. And it's hard sometimes to learn the Tanya. To find the counsel within these books. Therefore, they should go to those who can teach him. And they'll enlighten him what to see in the Tanya. And to these scholars, I'm asking them that they shouldn't put their hands to their mouths. They shouldn't become humble and say, "Oh, we cannot learn. This is too hard for me. It's above my learning capacity." They should suddenly act false modesty, beshiflus, and humility, shal sheker, which is misplaced. Chas v'shalom. They should teach it. They should help people in these teachings of Tanya, Chassidus, and they should take their time and be able to teach people the teachings of Chassidus. And don't say that they're not capable of doing it. Gemara says, it's a Gemara expression, that somebody who can give food and holds back food, it's a terrible sin. If you don't have, you don't have. But a person who's Bnei Bar, he's holding back the food. He has it. And he doesn't give it because some humility, terrible thing. If you have it, and somebody needs it, give it. The Rebbe would always say, you can teach an aleph, teach an aleph. You know an aleph, teach an aleph. Everybody can be a teacher. Something that you have, somebody else doesn't have. You have the alphabet, and somebody doesn't have the alphabet. Teach it. Don't b'nei abar. Don't withhold. Oh, I only know the alphabet. Who I'm going to be a teacher. Who am I to be a teacher? You are. Every one of us can be a teacher, and you're obligated to do that. So therefore, the Gemara says it's known the bitter punishment of withholding food. Who withholds Torah? Torah says holding food. But we know the Gemara, whenever it talks about food, it means Torah. So a person who holds back food, holds back Torah from somebody that he can teach Torah to, is a terrible thing. And how great is the reward for teaching. It's known the statement of the sages in the verse. God enlightens the eyes of both. The verse reads, the pauper and the wealthy man meet God. God enlightens the eyes of both. The Gemara implies that this is to a pauper of Torah knowledge and one who is wealthy in Torah. When they meet and the wealthy one teaches the pauper, God enlightens the eyes of both of them with a light of the transcendent to both. So therefore, if you have a knowledge and you can teach somebody else that knowledge of Torah, you have to teach him. You're obligated. And truth is, why'd you meet him? You met him because he needs to have this teaching. He needs to be inspired by you. That was the whole purpose of meeting them. Because God will cause his face to shine upon them with the light of the countenance of the king, with the light of God, the king, which is life. Which is the source of life. Yizakenu should give us merit, v'yechayenu should give us life. L'yamim to the days, ashalaylamdu ishvech, they'll come to the days of Mashiach comes, that we won't have to teach anymore. Because everybody will have the knowledge of God. So they won't need the teachers anymore. Everybody will have the knowledge, they'll be able to taught. Because as the Rambam says, the knowledge of God will fill the earth. As the water fills the seas. Amen. And may this be now. But until then, till Mashiach comes, everybody needs to be a teacher. Every one of us needs to teach. Because there's always somebody that you can meet that knows less than you. As I said before, you know an aleph, teach an aleph. So if you know the alphabet, there's thousands of Jews out there that don't know the alphabet. And go out there and teach them the alphabet. As the affirmation, these pamphlets have been distributed amongst the Nashas. The Kedo Kolanchi Shemena Skolel Batakis Rabbis. Sefer Shein Mishunim. As the years went on, the Likutei Amarim was printed in the hands of diverse copies. Again, those days they didn't have a computer. Those days it was called the Bacher Azetzer. In those days they used to do the Bacher Azetzer, means that it was a guy who sat there, and sometimes he was not even Jewish. And he sat there and he put the letters of each word. He put the letters with metal letters. I don't know if you ever went to an old press. You can go some places, they can show you the old press, how they used to print. And they used to take little letters. They used to have little letters, metal letters, and they used to put it on a thing, and they used to print that way. So this guy who puts the letters, what happens if you miss the letter? Or you put the wrong letter in? It changed the whole thing. That's why there was many mistakes in printings. There was many mistakes in the printing. Now now Baruch Hashem, we've gotten much better. That it's hard, we have spell check, But those days, there was a guy who was sitting there and the printer, and most of these guys, again, were not even Jewish, but they knew the Hebrew, they knew the alphabets, and they would put so the Bacha Zetzer, the one who put it together, he would by mistake use the long letter, like the big mistakes with like a Vav and a long Nun. People made a lot of mistakes in that, in writing the Vav instead of the long Nun, the Ayin instead of the Aleph. All these things, the Hebrew language is not easy. You may change an Aleph to an Ayin. They have the same sound, but it's a different word. And it can change it. You know, the multiple transcriptions has given rise to Rabu Toys. That's what happened. A lot of mistakes. Because the more it was printed by many different places, the more mistakes happen. That's why even today, when a Sefer writes a Torah, today they have a mezuzah. You can put it through a scan. You can put it through the computer, and it'll catch mistakes. It'll catch an extra letter or missing a letter. And today, when you buy a Torah, they'll give you a documentation that this Torah was scanned, and if there was missing a letter, it was fixed. It says, that's the custom that when a person gives a Torah, we read the whole year of the Torah to catch the mistakes. And it happens that after the Torah was even the Torah was scanned, and then you start reading the Torah, and boom, you find the mistake. There's missing a letter, extra letter, wrong letter. It happens. Why? Because it's human mistake, human error. You have a sofer that's writing it. It's 300,000 letters in the Torah. It's always capable of having a mistake, human error. And surely in those days, in the printing press, was extremely a lot of human errors. And that's what Alter Rebbe said. There was extremely a lot of mistakes. And therefore, the Alter Rebbe comes to strengthen what the rabbis wrote, that there should be only like 2 people taking care of this, but they'll make sure not to have any mistakes. If everybody's going to start printing this thing, it's going to be a disaster. Therefore, the spirit of the noble men mentioned on the previous page has generously moved them to make personal financial effort. They went out, these 2 rabbis, which we mentioned yesterday, they went out and they went to print this. They brought it to the printer. They made sure that no letter there was no mistake. And they checked it thoroughly. They were magid. They checked it thoroughly. I want to thank them, congratulate them, and I thank them for their worthy deed. It's so much as the verse states, the Pasuk says in the Torah, cursed is a person who encroaches on his fellow's border. So this, I gave them the right, and if anybody goes and does it, they're encroaching on their gvul, on their border. And where it's expressed a curse, utter, is used, implies the damnation, excommunication. That's what the rabbis also said. That will be excommunicated. God preserve us. It's actually superfluous to add any further prohibition on a violation. The copyright of publishers, the other 2 rabbis have already established that. I come therefore only to reinforce the words of so to say, the sages, as a mere practice of Yehuda in order to reinforce the explicit scriptural statement. I'm not here to add excommunication. I'm just here to strengthen what the Torah says, what the rabbis have said, that you shouldn't touch it. Do not take the right to use this. Like today we have copyright laws. That's why did they create copyright laws? They didn't have it in those days. But they have copyright laws not to allow people to print something that you have written. Why? Because then they go and they print it and it's changed, etc. So they created in America copyright laws. In the Torah, it's a excommunication. The Shida Guda Rabbah, invoking a strict prohibition. I'll call them atfisen. I'm giving you a prohibition. No publisher has the right to publish this book. I've copyrighted it. Le'al Atzman, they don't have the right to print it on their own. The publisher, well, they're the good law, not through agents that can bring it. They have no right to do this. Built in the Shus and Nekvin and Skolel. It's interesting over here, the Alter Rebbe, they keep on saying 5 years. 5 years from above. That I was hoping that nobody would go out ultimately to do it, and they would never stay in Chabad, which until today. Besides, I think somebody else went and printed the Tanya till today, but ultimately they copyrighted it, and now it's illegal. Besides Kohas to print the Tanya, leave it and forever, as long as it's copyrighted, at least in this country. For the period of 5 years, for the day the printing is completed. Well, and those may the pleasant be those who comply. May the blessed for good those who comply to this wish. These are the words of the compiler, Kutei Amarim, the one who compiled the Kutei Amarim, which mentioned above. And that finishes the author's introduction to his book. And I mentioned tomorrow we will start the Tanya again. Today is the 21st day of the month, my dear friends. We say chapter 104, 105. You do the chitas of the day. The Rebbe writes today, everyone should learn a Mishnah by heart. Everyone should have a Mishnah that he can say by heart. There's a very easy Mishnah. And Kol Yisrael Yeshem Chelik Leilam Abash and Nema V'Amach Kulam Tzaddik and Leilam Yisha Arts. That's a whole Mishnah. And I just said it by heart. Every person should know a Mishnah by heart, each person according to his capacity. If you can learn a whole Perek by heart. And then while walking in the streets, review the Mishnah by memory. This is a statement that Rebbe is writing a statement. It was a statement of the previous Lubavitcher. Everybody should know a Mishnah by heart. If you can learn 2 Mishnahs, learn 2 Mishnahs. Learn 10 Mishnahs, learn 10 Mishnahs. You will thereby merit the welcoming of Mashiach. If you learn a Mishnah by heart, and while you're walking in Publix, you say the Mishnah. While you're walking in the street, you say the Mishnah. Chassidim must study Chassidus, or Chassidim on Mondays and Thursdays and Shabbos, to minimum every single day. But everyone, if you're a student of yeshiva, yourself, you learn Torah every day. Everybody should learn a Mishnah by heart. You should know a Mishnah. Why is it Mishnah by heart? Because a pasuk is a problem saying a pasuk by heart. It's a question if you're allowed to say a pasuk. Besides tefillah, Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad, is a prayer. Torah Shebiksav, you're not allowed to say it by heart. But a Mishnah is Torah Shebal Peh. A Mishnah is the oral law, it's Torah Shebal Peh, and you 100% can say it by heart. And therefore, because it actually was meant to say it by heart, it was meant to say it with your mouth, not the book. And therefore, everybody Torah Shebal Peh. That's what it's called, the oral law, because it was said orally. Every person should know a Mishnah by heart. So when you're walking in the street, wherever you are, you can say that Mishnah. And as the ones that everyone said, that Rabbein would say, that when you walk in the street, and maybe that part of the world is waiting for your Mishnah to be said. When you say that Mishnah, you bring their God into the world at that present time, and that world has been waiting. Maybe that part of the world in Boca has never ever been touched by the word of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and you have accomplished that mission in the world. So know a Mishnah by heart. My friends, I wish you a wonderful day, and the Mitzvah at 10 o'clock you can come and we'll learn a Sikh of the Rebbe on the portion of the week. And the Mitzvah tomorrow, I want to see tomorrow on this thing 10 more people. Everybody has to go invite one more person to come and learn Tanya. Invite 10 people. So like this, you'll get one person to come at least. And tell them to come and start the Tanya together with all of us. And let's have over here, instead of 10 people, let's have 20 people coming and learning together. First of all, Chumash, Tanya together. It's very easy. Invite people to come and learn Tanya.